Hi guys, I have another Beatles album on vinyl. This time I've got their debut studio album, Please Please Me. And in this video I'm going to be telling you my thoughts on the album. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the background of the album as well as ranking the songs, which was extremely hard. I will be showing you my ranking from least to favourite at the end of this video. Please Please Me is the debut studio album by the Beatles. It was produced by George Martin and released on EMI's Parlophone label on the 22nd of March 1963. The Beatles signed with EMI in May 1962 and released their debut single Love Me Do on the 5th of October 1962 with P.S. I Love You as the B-side. And George Martin was surprised that it reached number 17 on the UK singles chart. They released their next single, Please Please Me, with Ask Me Why as the B-side on the 11th of January 1963. Before going into more detail about the album, I'm first going to look a little closer at the album cover. Here's a closer look of the album cover. Originally, George Martin actually wanted the cover to be of the Beatles stood outside the insect house at London Zoo, because he was a member of the Zoological Society of London, which owns the London Zoo, and he thought it would be good publicity for the zoo, but he was actually turned down. So instead, Welsh photographer Angus MacBean was asked to take a coloured photograph of the Beatles looking down over the stairway inside EMI's London headquarters in Manchester Square. And apparently it was all done in a bit of a rush. George Martin called him up and he came straight over to take the photo. And in 1969, Angus was asked to recreate the shot, which was intended to be used for their Get Back album cover, which I think would have been a great idea, but instead it was used for the Red and Blue albums. And then looking at the back here, we have the sleeve notes, which were written by Tony Barrow, who was the Beatles press officer. And then here are all the tracks at the side, and as you can see, the ones written by Paul and John, they are credited as McCartney-Lennon on this album. I also have the album on CD, which has the same cover. It does look different on the back though. And inside we have a few more photos. And we also have a booklet, which I think, are they the sleeve notes? Yeah, with the sleeve notes inside by Tony Barrow, as well as more photos. Another shot of the Beatles down the stairway, and then another one. When first discussing the album, George Martin suggested that they make a live album at the Cavern Club because they already had a large following of fans there, but he found that the Cavern wasn't suitable for recording, so then decided to make a studio album instead. The Beatles had already recorded 4 songs for release. They were their singles Please Please Me and Love Me Do, and the B-side tracks P.S. I Love You and Ask Me Why. But they needed to record another 10 to complete the album. The recording took place on the 11th of February 1963, and that day John Lennon happened to have a really bad cold, which is quite noticeable in some of the songs. The recording took place at 10 AM with There's a Place and 17, which was the working title for I Saw Her Standing There. And at 10 PM, with the studio close to closing, they recorded their final song, Twist and Shout. Lennon said that the last song nearly killed him and his voice wasn't the same for a long time after. So amazingly, the Beatles recorded the rest of the album, all 10 tracks, in one day, which I just think is incredible. I don't think many bands would be able to do that. The day of recording apparently cost around £400, which today is around £10,000. Each Beatle received a session fee of around £7.50 for each of the day's 3 sessions, which today is around £200. The Please Please Me album was released on the 22nd of March 1963 in the UK. It hit the top of the UK album charts in May, remaining there for 30 weeks until it was replaced by With the Beatles. This was big for a pop album at the time because pop albums didn't usually tend to do as well in the charts. And Please Please Me was the first non-soundtrack album to spend more than 1 year in the top 10 UK album charts. The album has since been well received, appearing in a number of best of lists. I personally think this is a great album, especially being a debut album. It's actually quite hard to believe that this is a debut album. I just think it's so good. There are some great songs on here that they wrote, and I also think they did some amazing covers. I think it's just incredible that most of the album was recorded in a day and all the songs still contain that energy and enthusiasm. I really do think it's just a great album to introduce the Beatles. So now I'm going to go through each of the tracks, giving you my opinions on them. So first of all, we're starting with I Saw Her Standing There. Paul apparently first thought up this song when driving home from Beatles concert in Southport, Merseyside, and worked out the chords and arrangements at the family home of Rory Storm on the 22nd of October 1962. And there are also photos of Paul and John working on the song taken by Paul's brother. Paul said he had originally written "She was just 17, never been a beauty queen," in which John laughed and said, "You're joking about that line, aren't you?" Paul later said it was one of the first times Lennon said a line needed to be changed. The 1, 2, 3, 4 count-in by Paul was kept on the record as George Martin wanted to create the effect that the album was live, which I just think is a very strong and quite powerful start to the album. I'm really glad that he kept that in. I just really love this track. I just think it's a great rock and roll song. I think it's very catchy and upbeat and really shows what a rocker Paul McCartney was, and it's definitely one of my favourite songs on the album. The next track is Misery, another Lennon-McCartney song. Paul said it was their first stab at a ballad. George Martin plays piano on this, which was added at a later date. I really like this track. It's a simple song, but I think it's really well written with a great tune. The next song is Anna. The song was first written and recorded by Arthur Alexander. It was apparently a personal favourite of John's. It was recorded in 3 takes, and I really like their version of this song. I just love John's voice. Even being unwell, his vocals are so good. If anything, it added something, almost like this achiness in his voice, which makes what he's singing just sound so real. The next track is Chains. This was written by Jerry Goffin and Carole King and was a hit for the American girl group The Cookies in 1962. The Beatles did 4 takes on this song, but ended up using their first. George sings lead vocals on this song, and I remember first hearing this and just falling in love with the song straight away. I just find it so catchy, and I love George's voice. I think George's performance was confident. He could perform just like John and Paul, even in the early days. He had been performing on stage at the Cavern and in Hamburg just like the other 2, and yeah, it really shows with his lead performances, I think. The next track is Boys. This song was originally recorded by the Shirelles, and this is Ringo's first recorded lead vocal. I think this is another catchy song. I really like Ringo's vocals on this one, and it was actually recorded in 1 take, which I just think is amazing. The next track is Ask Me Why. Written by Lennon McCartney, Paul said this one was mostly John's. John said he was influenced by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles for this song. The song was originally recorded on the 6th of June 1962 with Pete Best on drums, but none of the performances recorded that day were deemed suitable for release. So it was recorded again on the 26th of November with Ringo on drums. I love John's voice on this song too. You can hear it cracking at times, which I just think adds to the emotion of the song. The next track is Please Please Me, another Lennon-McCartney song. Although John said the song was his own, inspired by Roy Orbison and Bing Crosby. He said that he wrote it in his bedroom at Menlove Avenue. George Martin said that the original version was rather dreary and too slow, and didn't think it would be a big hit. But the Beatles wanted to release their own material as a single after George Martin suggested that they released How Do You Do It, which was later a hit for Jerry and the Peacemakers. George Martin asked them to increase the song's tempo, making it faster, which they did. It was then that George Martin knew that they had a hit. I think it's just a great song. The vocals and the harmonies work so well, and it's still catchy to this day. The next track is Love Me Do, a Lennon-McCartney song, though Lennon said that this was Paul's, and Paul said that it was co-written. Some recordings have Andy White on the drums, who was a session drummer around the time Ringo first joined, and Ringo is on the tambourine. This song holds a special spot for me. It was one of the first songs of the Beatles I heard, and one of the first songs that really got me into them. I remember playing it for the first time really vividly. I was on holiday and I played the song on a small CD player, and I just remember hearing that harmonica, and it just pulled me straight in, and I just remember jumping up and down on the bed dancing to it over and over, and I still haven't gotten tired of hearing this song. The next track is P.S. I Love You, another Lennon-McCartney song. This track has Andy White on the drums and Ringo on the maracas. George Martin had gotten Andy White as a session drummer to replace Pete Best, not knowing that the Beatles had actually got Ringo. This was a Paul song written by him in Hamburg in 1962. I really love the harmonies on this song. I think it's a beautifully written song actually, and thinking about it, there are quite a lot of songs on this album with Paul and John singing together. The next track is Baby It's You. This is another song which was recorded by the Shirelles. I just think it's another great vocal from John. The next track is Do You Want to Know a Secret? This is another Lennon-McCartney song sung by George Harrison. John was inspired by I'm Wishin', a song from Disney's Snow White, which his mum would sing to him as a child. Before Snow White starts singing, she says, do you want to know a secret? Promise not to tell. But John said that he realised as soon as he finished writing the song that it was best suited for George. Another song I really enjoy, I just love the opening part with George's voice. I think it sounds quite haunting. I just think it's a beautiful opening to the song. It's a simple song, but I think it's really beautiful, and I think these were their earlier songs. I just think this album's just amazing. Sorry by the way if I sound a little weird through this video, but I'm just so cold. I want to put on my little heater that I have for this room, but it makes too much of a noise, and so yeah, I'm just sat here and it's just freezing. I really should get like a jacket or something, but I haven't got many more songs to go. The next track is A Taste of Honey. This was originally an instrumental track written for a 1960 Broadway version of the British play A Taste of Honey. A vocal version was successful for Lenny Welch in 1962. As the song was popular in the UK at the time, it was chosen for the album. I really love this song. It's one of my personal favourites. I remember first hearing it and just finding it so catchy, and it's just one of those songs that whenever I play it, I need to sing along to it. I just really love this one. The next track is There's a Place, a Lennon-McCartney written mostly by Lennon. He said that it was his attempt to write a Motown-styled song. There's a Place received great reviews from music critics, praising the harmonies and lyrics, which are about overcoming loneliness in his mind. I agree that I love the harmonies and the lyrics to this song, although this one didn't grab me as quickly as some of the other tracks on this album. And the final track is Twist and Shout. This song was originally recorded by the Top Notes and was a hit for the Isley Brothers in 1962. This song was done in one take as John was just unable to do any more. His voice was completely gone after this recording, and the Beatles version of this song has been called the most famous single take in rock history. I just love this song. John really gave it all he had. It's so raw and powerful. I actually loved this song before I really knew about the Beatles. My dad is a huge football fan and they always play this song down at the ground, and so I was singing and dancing to it when I was really little, and I still do now. I just love this song. I have now ranked the songs on this album, which was so hard because I generally love all the songs from this album, so ordering them, yeah, it was extremely difficult, but I have done it. So at number 14, I have Ask Me Why. At 13, I've got Baby It's You. At 12, I have P.S. I Love You. At 11, I have There's a Place. At 10, I have Boys. Number 9, Anna. Number 8, Misery. Number 7, Chains. Number 6, Please Please Me. Number 5, Do You Want to Know a Secret? Number 4, A Taste of Honey. At number 3, Twist and Shout. At number 2, I Saw Her Standing There. And in first place, I have Love Me Do. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts on the album. And if you can, let me know your ranking, although I know it is very difficult. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Oh, now I really have to turn the heaters on and go and get a jacket. I'm freezing.